Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we start the show, I would just like to remind you all, especially those tuning in from Richmond, Virginia, the end of summer artisan market is happening at Hardywood West Creek on August 21st. That's a Sunday, going from 12 to 6 p.m. All right, so the end of the summer is getting closer and closer, and what better way to spend that time than swinging by the local artisan market with some really talented artists and crafters and other creative entrepreneurs. Yours truly will be there selling artwork from originals to prints, sketch cards, stickers, and possibly on-site commissions. So again, if you are a local in RVA, mark your calendars for August 21st, and I hope to see you there. Now let's get to the show. I was looking through my catalog, and I was like, you're no stranger to the podcast, but you've only made one solo appearance. And I'm like, huh?
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I'm like,
wow.
I got to have Rickman. I just got to have just Rickman and I, shoot this shit because we just got so prone to being used to doing it in groups. I mean, I would imagine anyone that tunes into any of our episodes, whether it's just me and you or me, you and Nick for Bitch Fest, that they can get a sense of like, oh, these guys know each other. They're familiar with each other. They bust each other's balls and whatnot. Because more often, I'm having new people on.
I've noticed,
and I don't know if people and just like I'm just kind of like I don't know if people that tune in, if they realize that, if they're aware of that until I say so.
That's actually cool too. That's like how you've created a community and you're always bringing new people in. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm trying, I was saying, I was trying to build a community, but I don't even know if that's really accurate. I don't know I don't know. I don't know how to articulate it right now, but in a sense, yeah, I guess like the end goal would to have like a community of all these different artists that I got to meet, and now they know each other as well. And they connected, and so, but as of like right now, the process, the way it's been, it's, I'm getting familiar with the community here, as well as kind of just picking and choosing who interests me on social media. That's really how I kind of go about it. Sometimes I get really impulsive by a very positive interaction, like a first time interaction, and I immediately invite people on the podcast, where I'm trying to now kind of just establish more of a base of like familiarity, like have a couple of genuine conversations and whatnot with the person. So yeah, I don't know. In terms of bringing the community together, I don't know, but I kind of do something for the art community.
Oh, you do? I always see your posts. I'm always seeing your well, I guess I should say Instagram. I see this, yeah. But this I have to seek. When I go to Instagram, you pop up, and it's almost constant. And I'm always in awe of what you have just done. I mean, I'm like, this, we go explicit, right?
Yeah, dude, okay. You can say whatever the fuck you want, man.
There you go. All right.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition to the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G TERADO. If you are new here, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show. This is a podcast that generally revolves around all things art and creativity. And I often sit down with local artists, friends, crafters, all types of creative entrepreneurs, and we just sit down and talk about the things that inspire us and pursuing these creative endeavors. So if you enjoy this content, please be sure to follow, subscribe, whether you're tuning in on podcasts or watching on YouTube. Please subscribe, ring the notification bell. That way you can keep up with all the current uploads. And definitely be sure to check out the show descriptions, especially if I am featuring an artist. That way you can find all their active links, their social media, all that good jazz. And everyone else who is a returning listener or viewer, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. Now I do have a special guest, a very, very good friend of mine, known him for years now, although I'm not going to do the math because I don't know it. But always happy to have him back on. He's no stranger to the show. So please welcome this beautiful headed hair. No, he has beautiful hair. He's entertainingly
waft, maybe? Is that what you're going with? Waft?
And he's a very kind and humble artist. Again, very grateful to have him in my life as well as on the podcast, of course. So please welcome back the man, the myth, the legend, Rickman.
Now I gotta live up to that, huh? All right.
Fuck, I butchered that. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Sorry, I butchered that first compliment there, but
not a big deal.
I've always admired you for your head of hair because
I know you love me, and you know I love you. So everything's
fine. Okay, so yes, going back to working on digital. So nowadays, it's very rare that I go on my iPad because that's the only thing I have. I don't have like a Cintiq or any of the nice fancy screens. But so for me, I use it now strictly just for rendering anything that I want to render out digitally. So I have a lot of sketches, photos of sketches that I've considered rendering out digitally. That's just all saved in my photos, but it's just a matter of when am I going to get to them. Yeah, kind of like yourself, anytime I want to jot something down, just do a rough anything, it's always on paper first. It just feels, I think it just, I won't speak for you, but I think it's just because I come from that background of like, it's always started traditional first. Now everything is like straight to screen. For the most part.
I mean, for the longest time, we didn't have this digital world. Yeah. And I mean, only about, I don't know, 4 years ago, I think, maybe even less, I wound up, I got myself an iPad, and I also, I was able to get one of the Cintiqs. And it's funny, it's like I use them similarly to what you said. I use the iPad to do a lot of rough stuff. I sketch a lot in like Procreate. And I've done complete pieces in Procreate. But a lot of times when I do something that I really want to kind of get into and involved, like a lot of the digital painting, if you will, I use the Cintiq, because when I use the Cintiq, I use it with Photoshop. And Photoshop to me, I mean, I if anybody wants to do the math, go right ahead. But I've been using Photoshop since before they started adding numbers to it.
Yeah.
All right. I use Photoshop, period. No 1, no 10, no CS or anything like that.
Yeah.
I use flat out Photoshop. And I that's when I learned it. And when I'm using Photoshop, I fly through it. I know the keystrokes. I know where well, most of the time I know where the tools are. If they've updated it, then I'm like, where did that go? But I mean, and it's funny is they often have contacted me as, what do you think of this? And I was an alpha tester at one point, and they still send me emails like, tell us your experiences, and I'm like, all right, sure. Wow. But Photoshop that's what I mean. That's the program I know best. But when it comes to drawing, I need a pencil.
Yeah.
I need to feel the pencil on the paper. And you know, it's funny. Before the Cintiq, many years before the Cintiq, I started using a Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
You know, the little tablet that sits. And what I did was I didn't like the fact that the stylus would slide right along it, you know, because it's plastic on plastic, and it was just whoosh.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took a piece of Bristol and cut it and put it on the tablet, and I still use that to this day. You know, when I'm doing anything else, I don't use the mouse for anything.
Right.
And I did the same thing with the iPad. I didn't put Bristol on it, but what I did was I took I found this stuff called Paper-like. Have you ever heard of it?
I want to say it sounds familiar, but I would have to
It's a film. That's all right. I'll tell you what it is. It's a plastic film that has a little bit of a tooth to it, and you put it on the iPad. Now, a lot of people would think, oh, that cuts the sharpness. It doesn't. It actually doesn't. It improves the use of the utensil, like the Apple Pencil or whatever, on the surface. It doesn't. I don't like that plastic on plastic feeling. I want something that feels more organic, and that's why I do that. But
and we've talked about being heavy-handed. So with the plastic on plastic, my first thing, it wasn't even Wacom, it was bamboo, and that shit was carved the fuck up because I just have no control. Although I have a theory now about why I handle my utensils the way I do.
Oh.
So, or at least why my hand shakes, like with my strokes. And it's because I'm holding them so tightly. Now, the reason why I'm holding them so tightly, that I haven't figured out yet. But I've always wondered why, like, I could never have confident strokes. And then I'm realizing, I'm really holding on to this thing with a kung fu grip. And then, and I think also, I guess maybe like the tightness makes me think like it'll stay still when I'm doing my strokes. So there's like all these weird factors that I'm like, like maybe these I gotta just fucking relax here.
I do the same thing. I find that when I'm actually inking, when I'm using a brush and ink, I find that's when I'm gripping it so tightly. I'm like,
well, that's what I meant, is when I'm doing the ink work.
Yeah, the pencil. Sometimes the pencil. It's interesting. You mentioned that. I feel like I might grip the Apple Pencil tighter than I would an actual pencil, and I don't know what that's all about. That's a weird.
Maybe because it feels like a pen rather than like, I don't know, because it's got a weight to it too. I don't know.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. I could see the relation though, why you would still handle it the same way.
The brush though, the brush is smaller. You know, I don't use large brushes. When I ink, I use number 2 or 3, like Raphael Kalinsky kind of a brush, and they're fairly thin, like at the where you grip them.
Yeah.
And I always find that I'm like, when I'm inking, and I get lost in that. You know, I'll sit at the art table and I'll ink for hours, and then I'll come up for air at some point and be like, wow, my hand hurts. It's like, why are you doing that? But I don't know. When it comes to drawing, I like the physical thing. And the reason I brought this up is because, like I said, I'm doing a new concept. I'm working on a new concept for a comic book. And I've been drawing characters. Yeah. I've been drawing characters, and I've been doing a couple of different things with the iPad because it's easy, because it's quick, and it's like boom, 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 and um, I don't know. It just seems like it's a quicker thing. But when it comes to doing the actual pages, and I don't even mean like the final pages. I mean even the rough pages. I have to do sketches on paper, and I don't know if you've art stores down there, right? Or do you buy your art supplies through stores, or do you get them online?
I haven't found. There's a small shop near me that I haven't visited yet. Actually,
Oh,
I've been pretty good on supplies
oh yeah.
somehow. Yeah, they've been lasting. I mean,
Hey,
I don't know if
that's
that's a
cool.
good sign or not, because I'm like, I'm producing work. So I
You're
don't know.
doing a lot of work. Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, okay. And like, don't be biased. Be like, nah, G, you can make more. And, but I mean, yeah, as far as art supplies goes, I haven't really had to go anywhere. I mean, maybe I've definitely stopped at Michael's a couple times, usually for frames, but I think I've grabbed like a pack of pens or something. But
Michael's is good for frames. Um,
well, yeah.
Everything else
Well,
is kind of pricey.
oh no. Well, let me tell you, that's why I actually miss working for Michael's, you know what I'm
Oh, you used to work there.
saying? Yes,
That's a different
sir.
story.
Yes,
That,
sir.
that's when you get that employee discount. That's cool,
Yeah, discount. That's a way to
right?
put it.
Oh, yes, discount.
The
Um,
box came in broken.
I don't know what happened, boss. I'm sorry, boss. I didn't mean to do it. Uh,
No, so I like to go. I like to go to them for their frames, and they usually have deals too. They
yeah.
they have a bunch of deals usually, so why not?
Well, around here I go right. Around here I go. I go to a place called Jerry's.
Oh yeah, I know Jerry's.
Yeah, you remember Jerry's?
There was
And,
one in West Orange.
yes, exactly the one. And when I go there, I got to be honest. I cannot walk out of that place without buying at least one sketchbook. I don't know why.
It's troubling, man,
And
because
I've got a chest of drawers over here, and one and a half of them are just blank sketchbooks. I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot of sketchbooks that are filled, but it's like blank sketchbooks. So I decided a little while ago when I said, you know what, I have to write this like because when I write a book, when I write a comic, like when I did sock or when when any of the other stuff that I've done, I I tend to kind of write and draw at the same time. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like to tell the story from panel to panel.
okay.
What I do is I'm in my head. I'm like, so what's this going to look like? What are they going to do? And I'm like, it's almost like what is they tend to call the Lee Kirby method. The Lee Kirby method was Stan would write paragraphs out and he would say, okay, so the Fantastic Four, they come in and this monster pops up from the ground. And then you have,
Yeah.
so he would just talk about it. He would like write it out in paragraphs. And then Jack would come along and see the paragraph and draw what he sees in his head and then hand it back to Stan. And Stan would write in the dialogue. And that's how they used to work. Well, I kind of do that by myself. You know what I mean? I come up with characters. I come up with, well, what do I want them to do? And I'm like, all right, these are the characters, and I draw the characters, and then I start drawing a scene and saying, oh, okay, that should go to this. And so on an iPad, it kind of winds up being kind of static. It's like I've got one panel and then another panel and these are different pages, and I know I can put them together on a page, and I've done that, and I know I'm not, I'm not stupid. I might be stupid, but I tend to need to see the thing in front of me and visualize it.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm gonna. Yeah, it's the hardest part, to flow it together, to make it, especially when I am telling a story, a comic book story. I also like to see the pages next to each other.
Right. Well, I said that's the artist in you. I didn't say artist. Like because I'm the same way too. Like I just need it physically in front of me sometimes. Even if I'm formulating everything in my head, it's like,
yeah,
still gotta have it in front of me.
and you're right, because especially when you're trying to create a narrative, tell a story. I tend to. There's two methods, and one of the methods was, if you have two pages, you tell the story, and at the bottom of the right-hand page, you have some sort of a big deal reveal. But the Eisner method, and I don't even remember when I discovered the Eisner method. It was a while ago, but when I discovered it, I think I was reading one of his books, and he laid it out, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. He tells the story from panel to panel, and then at the end of the right-hand page, there's a suspenseful moment, and then you turn the page, and there's the big reveal. You know what I mean? And it keeps the suspense, and it makes you turn the page. And I'm like, that's it. That's what I do. And I it's hard to do that when you don't have the panels arranged in front of you the way you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. The things that I'm spouting at this point. These are the things that it's true. These are the things that I would say in a comic book class, because I haven't taught a comic book class in a while. It's because, I don't know, there's this thing called a pandemic, they call it. So I don't, we're hopefully closing in on the endemic part of the pandemic, but we'll see. But I haven't had a class in a long time. But this is the kind of things that I teach when I teach people how to make a comic book.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because when you do it digitally, you can be very specific, and you can get very detailed in the panel, and then you zoom out and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
How am I going to do? All right. You know what I mean? When you're done with the page, if you're doing it old school,
yeah,
you're at 10 by 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you shrink it down, and it's like all that detail gone. You can't see it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I just when it comes to working on tablet or screen, it's just the spatial, the limited space I have to maneuver. If I want to have some good strokes, you got to move your whole arm. Or, get a nice angle for your wrist. And I don't have a large iPad, so I don't know. When I'm working in there, sometimes I just like, you're just like all huddled in, trying to just work with the space you have with the size of the screen.
I've been yelled at by my chiropractor. My chiropractor is a good friend of mine, and we've hung out on numerous occasions. I've known him for a good long time. He yells at me because he's like, when you draw, he goes, you do this.
Yeah.
He's like, stop doing that. Lean back. And I'm like, all right. But you're right. It's like when you start getting in, you're like,
yeah, you just start hovering over like a
right?
gargoyle.
You're a gargoyle. Exactly. Oh, shout out to our good friend Tyler.
Tyler.
who at Geek Talk with Tyler, he loves the gargoyles. He's a big fan.
Yeah, you hung out with him, right?
Yeah, well, we did.
You did an episode?
I did. What did I do? I think it was.
You do the live one?
No, I didn't do the live one yet, but we did the last episode of Phase 4. I think it was the last episode of Phase 4. He's like, and I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm part of the finale of a season.
I was busting his balls because he approaches me like frequently, every now and then.
Oh yeah,
and you know, just the way he logs so many episodes, so it blows my mind.
He's got a library. Whoa!
But it just like, I don't know, man. I feel indifferent with his process, and that's fine. Like, he can keep doing his thing. I just feel like, I don't know. It threw me off because I'm under the impression, when I did his podcast, like that would come out before the one when he's on my podcast. Right. But then after realizing how he actually operates and how many he has logged back, I was like, oh. And then he released like the next phase. I'm like, oh, so like I'm probably not gonna be, my episode's not gonna be out till next year.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I what did we just do?
But he said it was gonna be out in November, so I'm like, it's fine. But it just
November. It's coming out in November. Wow.
I was just like, okay. I mean, if that's how you do your thing, that's fine. I don't know, maybe reflecting on myself as a podcaster, like if I'm trying to provide some sort of service for my fellow artists, like I have this shit out. I put this shit out as soon as I can so that whatever the promoting is out there. But to each their own, of course. Like I try to be careful not to like be enforcing on like my ideals of like how to run something, because I'm still learning. But I was like, oh, if I'd known that, I don't know. I was just like, oh, okay. It just threw me off.
Everybody has a different approach. I mean,
and I had one of his, because he referred a guest for me, Marlene Sharp, who worked on Sonic, the TV show, Sonic Boom, and sweet lady. But we were talking about recording with him, and she's like, yeah, I've done a few, but she's like, they haven't come out yet either. I'm like, oh, so I think she's in this phase. Which one is it? Phase 4?
I think I finished out phase 4.
Okay. So phase 3 is this?
I don't know. I honestly, I didn't keep track of what phases they were. And
well, it's not
when he publishes them and I get notifications and I'm like, cool, I don't know. I haven't done my own podcasts for wow. I think I did it. We did a podcast. I did a podcast 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's a while ago. I think it was like, well, it's about 6 years ago.
Huh.
And we did it weekly. We did it once or maybe it was every 2 weeks. Actually, it's been a while. Yeah. But we would do them. They would be, I guess, edited, whatever, processed, and then sent up, and that was it. Because a lot of the times when we were talking about stuff, when I was doing it, we were talking about comic books and movies and stuff that was coming out or has been out. And you don't want that to go too long, I mean, something like what we're doing here. This is, I
Well,
mean,
this is just long. I call it a long form conversation.
yeah,
You know, and I've dabbled to have like segments or something to keep these podcasts entertaining. You know,
yes.
but I don't know, when I'm with someone, it's just maybe just because I'm naturally a personable individual. You know, I'd rather just really like to have this for 60 to 90 minutes. You know, I'm now claiming like this is like the rawest form of social media, because this is media and we are socializing
Being
as
social.
naturally as possible, despite doing it virtually. But this is
Uh-huh.
still a lot more organic than texting and messaging. Like I understand like the necessity of it, but man, if I want to like really engage with someone, I gotta do it this way or over the phone.
Yeah,
We've done that like once or twice, like talk to each other on the phone.
yeah.
I'll just speak personally, like, whether we're old fashioned or not, like it's just so much easier to connect that way. You don't get the context, you don't get the enthusiasm or the sarcasm in the text. So in trying to like befriend new people, like that's fucking tough.
Oh, yeah. I've always said, I wish there was a sarcasm font.
I mean, would it be italicized?
I would say
Yeah,
it might be
right?
italicized, maybe a little scripty,
Like I
but
think that's
you
why
know,
emojis are important, because if you can
yes.
like, just throw like a laughing face, like that's like it's like
Well,
that's like
the one I always use is
I'll use that one a lot too, especially if I'm like throwing like a hypothetical or something. You know, like am I eating a sandwich on the toilet right now? I don't know.
Hmm.
I've done that though.
I always said
I'm
how
gonna have to
weird.
use that for the thumbnail.
There you go. I always I always used to say, and we're going back, but I'm like, when it came to like the iPhone, I'm like, I'm not gonna bring $1,000 piece of equipment into the bathroom. Where do we all text from now? Or
Yeah,
scroll through Instagram or whatever.
yeah. I've
What is
been
what is the new social media? Is there a new one? I mean, what are
there's a
the kids
bunch.
doing these days?
There's a
Huh?
bunch. There's a bunch. I don't think you don't
Are
need.
there?
Yeah, you don't need to know.
I probably don't. I
You
probably
don't
don't.
need to know. Don't
I really,
concern
I mean,
yourself.
it's like I know we scared all the kids off of Facebook a long time ago, and now they don't really even go near Instagram all that much. So I'm
There's
just wondering where they're all piling up. It's like I don't know
you
what's
got
the
your
next
main ones, right? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
TikTok. Oh, right, yeah.
Um, I shit.
I tried
Okay.
TikTok.
Yeah, I know you have, and I was like, I mean, so I've done it too. I have a TikTok, but I ditched that shit. Like
I
a,
just
a couple years.
abandoned it.
Yeah, well, I decided I'm like, this is not good, because I saw what I. That's when I started realizing how the algorithm started affecting me. Like, like it's sort of like, uh, I just was getting like annoyed with seeing all this shit, and I'm like, it's because like I engaged on something that was related to this, and now I'm seeing all of it, and so yeah, I ditched it right then and there, which is
I
sad because I had some like funny content. Like that was kind of like
yeah.
my space to make like funny clips. But
I used to post artwork and stuff, but what happened was invariably, and this happens on Instagram too. And to be honest, I really don't mind,
you
because
flag.
they know what you like, and it's like they gather information. My TikTok was, and probably still is, I haven't gone there in a while. Um, primarily kitten videos, cats and kittens, and I just watched kittens all the time, and I'm like, and I guess it was because it's the pandemic, and I'm like, I was stuck in the house, and I just, my mind was like going crazy, and I needed something to boost the serotonin somehow, and I'm like, oh, kitties, I love kitties, and my my Instagram feed has become at least a third that. It's a third kittens, a third artwork, and a third random. Like, you've heard what's going on with Instagram, though, right?
What now?
Well, Instagram was trying to become TikTok, so they would start pushing more videos, like as you're scrolling,
yeah,
and you would see more videos, but then they started showing you videos of people that you don't know, and like tons of, and when you know how you can ask, like, you have those three little dots at the top, you can click on that and say, why am I seeing this video? It'll tell you, and it flat out will tell you, this person would like to engage with more people like you. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't, stop doing that. And a lot of people were getting angry, but they only started taking notice when Kylie Jenner posted about it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I think Kim Kardashian said something too, but I'm like,
yeah,
this is social media royalty you're pissing off here. What are you gonna do?
Jack squat.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to, I still, to this, well, I will post very strange things.
Yeah.
Because I don't really care. But I tend to post a lot of my artwork. You know,
I have separate accounts now, so.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have well, the one, you know, and I have like a regular G Terado one, and that's like mostly, it's mostly workout shit, but it's like, you know, it's like normal shit. It's like shit you don't see on my art page. I try to very distinctively keep it focused on like my art content and stuff now.
That's kind of what I'm doing too. I when I draw something new and it's good, I'm done, I'll post it, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I was telling you, I think last time we talked, which was a while ago, I was saying I had some stuff I couldn't talk about. So all the things that I'm drawing, I can't post anywhere. I can't show anybody anything. So it's like, it looks like I'm not doing anything. And I actually am.
Congratulations on your exciting gig that you can't necessarily.
I can't even talk. I will, though. One of the things was I was part of a Zorro anthology.
Oh.
I did illustrations in a Zorro anthology, and I believe it's published and available now.
Oh. What's it called?
I'm the worst. I really am. I am old and my memory is gone. But I can tell you, give me a second.
Okay.
But it was fun because the fact of the matter is,
so you did the artwork for it, like cover art or inside art?
I didn't do the cover, but I did some interior artwork, and it's called Zorro's Exploits. It's published by Bold Venture Press. And yeah, I did some interior artwork for it.
Okay.
It was the reason it's cool to me is because Zorro was one of my dad's absolute favorite superheroes. Like Dad was into Zorro, Green Hornet, the Phantom, Lone Ranger was a big one.
The Shadow.
He loved the Justice League and Batman and Superman and stuff like that. But those were his heroes, and when me coming along as a little kid with Spider-Man and the Avengers and Justice League, that kind of stuff. But
the Shadow was like from that era too, right?
Shadow too, yes. Dad was he was a big fan of the pulp heroes, what they would call them.
Okay.
And so when it was offered, I was like, absolutely. I have knowledge. I've drawn Zorro before. So the one thing that I did have to work on, drawing a horse.
Oh,
those are tough.
Oh yeah.
Majestic beasts, and their anatomy is a thing to behold.
Yeah, at one point I got on a groove for like a hot second of focusing on animal stuff, like just anatomy, like whether it was I was doing skulls for like a second, but I was always trying to like get on to working on more animals. But yeah, they're tough. They are. Definitely out of my comfort zone.
Well, as humans, we're always looking at either ourselves or other humans. So we have ingrained in our minds what a human looks like. Granted, as an artist, you need to take that way further, and you start blocking out the face and doing the anatomy and whatever else. But
unless you're Nick, though, and then you just
wave your hand and it magically appears on the page.
And you got the birds. He's like, I understand birds.
Well, that and Godzilla.
And Godzilla, yeah.
It's Godzilla. I mean, he could draw Godzilla in his sleep.
He's like, I actually identify as Godzilla / birds.
Those are his pronouns.
Yeah.
Godzilla, bird.
I love you, Nick.
Yes, we love you, Nick.
Shout out to Nick Makoviak. I know, you know what? I did part of me gearing up to this. I'm like, I actually kind of feel a little guilty because like this is just me and Rickman. And now coincidentally, Nick is just busting out work, and the last time we were getting together, it was like we were all like in a lull kind of. So it's like now everyone's getting busy, and then so I do feel a little guilty excluding.
Oh no, I'm sure he'd come on and show you some of his stuff. He's been posting, which is nice.
Exactly.
It's good to see.
That's what I mean. And he's a father, so I understand the time.
Find time for that.
Precious time.
I know. Neither one of us have kids, so we're like, what do I want? I'm up till 3 sometimes just drawing. And I'm like, I should go to bed.
My body does not allow me to pull those late hours anymore. Like I'm on such a structured sleep schedule that I can't. I mean, when I do stay past midnight, it's because I'm watching UFC Fight Night on the weekends. They go past 1 a.m. sometimes. But then, I can't remember the last time I was up around 3 a.m. Probably just to pee and go back to bed. But
that happens for me too.
But other than that, I'm in bed. I'm structured to have like an early sleep schedule, so I just get up early and operate that way. But I don't know, sometimes I do miss the late hours of just like cranking down work.
I gotta be honest, I often I don't get it's I don't know what to say. I find more creative energy later. I find sometimes during the day I'll do stuff, I'll do work, I'll clean up or whatever. Yeah. But then for whatever reason around 10 p.m. I'm like, I have an idea, or, oh, I'd really like to draw whatever, or the guitar is right there, I'm going to pick it up. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. But fortunately, what's really good where I am right now, my landlord could care less. She doesn't even hear me. And the guy across the hall can't hear me either.
Nice.
Because right now I'm in what I call my studio. This is the one room in my house. I guess it was supposed to be a bedroom, but this is where I put all my art crap and music crap. And nobody hears me.
That's great.
I'm like, okay.
That's perfect.
So yeah, I'll sit in here, I'll work out music or whatever. But a lot of times what it is that I have some music playing on the computer, and I'm over there, and I've got the light on, and that's the only light in the room. Or sometimes I do have like the string lights around the ceiling. Okay. Sometimes I'll put them on if I want ambiance.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Although I have been trying to get up earlier, and I wanted to let you know this. I've been going back to the gym.
Oh shit! Hey,
yeah,
you,
2 months. I've been back at the gym. I'm
good.
But
how do you feel?
No, I am. I'm getting back there, and I'm doing that stuff. And
that's great. I'm happy to hear that. How do you feel now? Like so far?
Honestly,
do you feel
I was
better?
Oh no, I do. And before the pandemic, I think we were talking when I was at the gym regularly, and everything was cool. And then COVID, and I'm like, oh no, what goes on at the gym with COVID? I don't know if I can, and I was like, it was a horror, like, and when I just said, you know what, I got to go back. And I went, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm at the gym at least 3 times a week.
That's
and
good.
I do a walk, a 3-mile walk currently, because the weather is kind of okay. It's a little soupy up here. It's a little, I don't know what it's like down there.
Like humid? It's humid.
Yeah.
Really? It was pretty bad. Like we've been having thunderstorms because it's so humid.
Oh yeah, same here. I was walking, I was on my walk. I could do about 3 miles. I get out of my car, I'm at a park, and I like to go to this park. It's got a waterfall. I start at the waterfall, I walk 1.5 miles, I turn around, I walk 1.5 miles, and I end at the waterfall. It's always a nice, pleasant ending. I looked at the phone. It was supposed to rain that day. It wasn't going to rain until 1. And I was there. It was like 1:45. And I'm like, awesome. I got plenty of time. It only takes me about an hour to 45 minutes to an hour to do this thing. I walk briskly. I'm like, everything's going to be cool. I get halfway through my walk. I'm about to get to the point where I turn around, lightning across the sky, and then the deluge. And I'm like, oh, and I'm practically 1.5 miles from my car. So I walk back totally soaked. I get to the car, stops raining. I'm like, thanks, universe.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
But what was really funny is, I mean, you see my hair still purple. The back of my shirt looked like someone had decapitated the Grimace.
Oh.
Like purple blood coming down the back of my shirt. It's crazy.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we're fortunate to have a gym in our building.
Very cool.
So it's very convenient, and that's why all more to like why I have to show up. keep that going.
I go to the Slacker gym, Planet Fitness.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean,
I'm just saying, they charge very little. So if
they got the equipment,
they have all the equipment and,
exactly.
and everything you need, and it's perfectly convenient. Yeah. They used to be 24 hours, but now nobody is 24 hours, even the diners around here.
Yeah.
But it's they keep you there because even if you don't use it every month, it's only like $10 a month, so you barely notice it.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm sure, and I went months without going.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm paying these people. I better go.
Yeah, I miss having a gym that had a boxing room because I do miss hitting the bags. They were really fun, and I don't know. It's always felt amazing after a good session in there.
You want to hit somebody or something.
It's just I mean, yeah, I guess like if I just want to fight some demons in my head. So like, we have these pillars in our building. So luckily, thankfully, I have boxing gloves, but yeah, I punch the pillars. I'm not hitting like at full capacity. Like it's tapped. I'm tapping them. But yeah, people probably sometimes think I'm crazy because I'm punching the wall or the pillar.
I mean, you do you, man. Nobody's,
Uh,
you're not
I
hurting nothing.
no, if anything, I'm waking people up. That's all. I'm alarm clock. Time to
Oh,
wake
so
up, folks.
you're out there like 6 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'm not hitting it at that early.
Oh, all right.
Like, and I don't do it every day. I do it like twice a week. But anyway, I like that. I like moving around like that. I like that boxing training. But hey, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're back into your routines, and it's good. It's good to just keep the vessel going.
I gotta keep this bag of bones alive.
Yeah.
The
No, but
only
like for real,
gave
right?
me.
Not to get all like philosophical or anything, because I had a buddy that I met him at the gym, and then coincidentally found out he's an artist, and we were talking about like our priorities, because like I show up every day, like I take no breaks. But he was just like, yeah, it's like it's just not my priority. And I'm like, well, like I'm like I incorporate these like healthy lifestyle routines like part of my overall health. So it's like I gotta make sure like I'm good. I'm in like tip top shape so I can keep doing what I love to do, and that's making art. So it's like if I had to put things in order, it's like that my health and fitness got to come first, then the artwork. Like art is my passion, but if I'm dead, that's it.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, they always tell you when you're on an airplane, it's like if you're you're with a child or whatever. They always tell you if you're going down and the mask
You
comes
gotta
out,
put your
put
mask
your
on
mask
first.
on first, and then you help the kid. I mean,
Right.
art is your child, and you love it, but you can't do it if you're not alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going every day. I mean, God.
No, of course. You know what? That's the thing
I'm
too.
just starting again, but
No, of course.
I used to though.
Hey, you go at your pace, right?
Yeah.
I have to. I try to make sure I emphasize that. Like anytime I get into the fitness talk, I just emphasize like you go at your own level. It's most important to be realistic about like your current strength and ability to do whatever the thing you're gonna do, whether it's more cardio or light, using light weights or whatever. But like you just go on your own pace, like as long as that you're taking care of the vessel, right? Because I think people think like I expect them to like try to lift the shit I lift and whatnot. I'm like, no, not at all. The overall message is like take care of your body so you can crush the thing that you want to pursue. And yeah,
I gotta say though, I wish that I had been told. I know that we were told, but it wasn't as direct. Now I'm considerably older than you, but when I was a teenager or around there, nobody really said, you should be working out, you should be exercising every day, you want to keep your body fit, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
No one ever said that to us. I mean, we had gym and they were like, whatever, do what you want, or here's the dodgeball, go beat each other up. They didn't care. They honestly didn't. And I guess I'm hoping that the teachers care more today, and I assume that they do. I'm a teacher myself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have students, and when I talk to these students, I often feel like I want to impart more than just this subject to you.
Mm.
I have a guitar student who he's fantastic. He's been playing for maybe 3.5 years now, and he is amazing now. I mean, he really stuck with it, and he's like, you know, he's really good. We started off as I started off teaching him art, and he just turned 17, and I started teaching him when he was 8. So I've known him for like more than half his life now.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
He was a heavy kid when he was younger, and it was like, that's me. That's me when I was like 10, 12. And I'm like, I would talk to him. I'm like, you know, do you exercise? Do you know?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't get too far into it because I don't want to overstep. But at the same time, he's like, he means a lot to. I don't have any children, and these students are me getting to see a little bit of what it would be like to have kids.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's experience in all of that. Yeah.
And what's great is he has recently, like within the last year, he's been going to the gym. He's changed his diet. He's gotten a bit taller. He's taller than me now, which is easy to do. I'm not that tall. But when he talks about it, you know, we've talked about it, and it's good. It's good to know that there is something there, you know, like he did hear what I was saying and what other people were saying.
Yeah.
So I actually do enjoy that. That's one of the things that I don't teach much anymore. I do have a handful of students. And one of my students, she's 13, and she's just out of control. She started with art. And we did a lot of drawing. She even came to my life drawings sessions with her mom because the models are good.
I think I remember a little bit of this.
Yeah, and she's fantastic. She was drawing, she was getting it, and then she was, for some reason, she's like, "Can you teach me to play the guitar?" And I'm like, "Well, sure. That's one of the things that I do." So she got a guitar, and we started playing guitar. And then I don't even know what prompted it. She's like, "Can you teach me to play bass?" And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I play bass sometimes in my band. I play bass. So we went and got her a bass. Now she's playing bass. She's playing guitar. She draws. I'm like, if I had a kid, this would be my kid. You know? And I love the fact that the energy is there. You know what I mean? And it's a certain kind of energy. When I don't know, I don't have a lot of students, like I said, but the students that I have are they're very energized towards the subject.
That's good.
You know,
you're very enthusiastic about what you do, which is why I said it earlier. I complimented you as entertainingly enthusiastic because you're very, you know, charismatic.
I'm a cartoon. I know
exactly. Yeah. Well, for the viewers or listeners, you know, if they don't know you well, very animated. So, and I think that helps them appreciate the craft.
Well, the other thing is, and this is, this would have been, maybe we should bring it up again when we're got Nick around, but
yeah,
I find that as a teacher, I try to always encourage, never discourage. Like if I ask a student to draw a face, I don't care what they do, as long, like if they drew a car, then I'd be like, that's not actually right, but nice car you drew. but I try to keep it very positive. Art, and I'm sure I've said this before, even on this podcast.
I was gonna say you and Nick kind of had you guys talked about that, like that your approach to when you're educating student. Yeah. But
Education needs to be a positive thing that a student feels safe and encouraged.
yeah.
I don't think, I mean, again, I don't teach a lot anymore, but the students that I do teach, it's always, I'm glad you've done this. I can see that you've worked on it. And I try to make sure I point out that you have done the work and you're getting it now. And I want to say, like, you see how you're doing this now? You didn't do that before. You've been practicing, and I know this. And it's a matter of, it's just a matter of being positive. I don't even think a lot of the parents are as positive as they could be for their children.
Well,
And I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You're in the same house all day, and they're screaming.
So many things that can that factor into all that. Yeah, it's tough.
I only see them for an hour or two a day. I understand, but I don't know. No, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed. And the other thing is that the stuff that I actually do, like when I do draw stuff, it's all goofy, you know. It's either it's either the goofy stuff or it's women, you know. I it's all a matter of I don't know. It's like the dichotomy that I've and I'm what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
Okay. A current project. I think I may have even you know what? I think the last time we talked, the project was a different project. It morphed into something else. I was going to do. I think I told you I was going to do a book of my life drawings, and I wound up going through my life drawings. I swear to you, if I was to put all the life drawings I've done in a pile, it would be taller than me. And I'm like, and I'm going through these things. I'm going, oh, this one's really good. Oh, this one's really good too. And I'm like, wait, how thick is this book going to be?
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't going to be, it's going to take longer to do. So what I thought was, why don't I do a book of the finished pieces that I've done? You know, like that one, the girl with the Rickenbacker guitar. And so what I'm doing, I'm putting together a book, a color art book of all of my 11, 17 pieces, but it's going to be an 8.5 by 11 book. And I'm going to, within the next month, I'm getting prices and stuff now that I want to, I'm looking through to see how much this thing is going to cost to produce. And when I'm done figuring out what I want to do and I have a price, I'm going to bring it to Kickstarter.
I may need to seek your assistance, because I had a friend, had him on the show a little while ago, and it was a classmate from college, and he called me out because he sees my portrait work too, and he's like, yo, why don't you have a book for your portraits? And I'm like,
hasn't someone else said that to you? I'm pretty sure
I mean, I'm not gonna say no, but he's like, I mean, I don't know, maybe because he called me out on it virtual, like face to face. So like he's like the only one I can think of right now that's like legit, like, yo, what are you doing here, man? Like, why don't you have a book? I'm like, oh. Probably just because I don't want to do the work and like figure out all the, you know, like the shit that you got to do.
Well, you know what?
I'm gonna do it eventually, but I need someone to show me the ropes on like what I gotta look for or whatever, you know, the necessities.
I'll say it here publicly. If you need help with anything, please let me know. You know, I do graphic design. I've done, I can't even count how many book design jobs I've done.
Yeah.
And I know printing. I've been in the printing industry for decades. So yeah, let me know. I mean, this is what I've been doing. And this is, the disparity is weird. It's like I'm looking into how to produce this book.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, do I want to do a soft laminated cover, or do I want to do a hardcover? And I've found so many different printing companies, and their prices are so disparate. I mean, some of them are $2,500, and some of them are like $700. I'm like, how do you what? So I'm digging in right now. So I'll let you know if you need something, you let me know, because I do this.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I guess I'll crossing that bridge. I mean, eventually, I don't want to like negate anything and shut anything down, but eventually we will get there.
Look, you've been doing this for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Your work is amazing. Obviously, you go to the shows and you make sales, you make friends. If you had, I mean, seriously, if you had a book on the table, even if it was a booklet, even if it was maybe 24 to 28 pages or whatever, and you had it on your table for like 10, $20.
Yeah.
Even if it was black and white, because a lot of your work is pencil, maybe you do it black and white. I guarantee you, somebody that's looking at work that can't afford to go for the original, which absolutely they could afford your originals. You don't price yourself high enough, and you know that. But if they wanted to, they could get a collection of your work.
Yeah.
In a book. I guarantee you, people would be going for that all the time.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about it, a few times, and yeah, it's just a matter of the approach. Like, I don't know, like, what's the first step, like,
First step is for the first step is acknowledging you have a problem, G. But but when you the first step, now, do you own a scanner?
I don't. So there's a lot of things I don't, a lot of facilities I don't have, or resources. So I'm gonna like have to rely on, I don't know, probably some print shop or something. There's a local print shop I go to. I mean, there's people I've been meaning to talk to. I just have to, go visit them.
Well, I would like to encourage that.
I would like to thank you for that encouragement.
No problem.
I appreciate that.
We work your book out. We work out your Kickstarter too. There you go.
Yeah. Have you well, now lately, with this podcast, since it's a weekly program, that I'm like trying to focus on getting a sponsor now. Ooh. And I made this really silly fake ad for barbecue sauce. Anything at this point, like, it's just like stuff that I use. So I'm like, why not? Maybe get a sponsor.
Fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, pretty much. I make sure it says it in the video. It's not a real sponsor, not yet, at least.
You were what was it? Liquid Death stuff you had for a while there.
Yeah, I know. I need it. Well, like, this time though, for the barbecue sauce, like, I threw in music. Like, the way I produced this one, like, was like I was trying to make a commercial.
Oh, you shot a commercial. Oh.
Basically, yeah. When it comes to pairing barbecue sauce with my steak, Stubbs is the finest choice there is. Get a taste of Stubbs' legendary barbecue sauce. Get a taste of life. So now that's one I haven't thought of anything yet. Usually because I do the liquid death shit on the spot, and then I'll just, but now I'm like,
I know you're like liquid death, kill your thirst.
Do like a product placement. But this time, actually, I don't have liquid death. I got ghost energy. So when you're feeling
ghost
dead,
energy,
when you're feeling dead inside, boost your energy with ghost energy.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. I'm surprised that that you'll drink like the energy drink type stuff.
Well, this one actually just tastes good. It's the Sour Patch Blue Raspberry, but I don't know. This is stupid because this is all just me in my head. I'm like, all right, I know I get too high often on podcasts, so I'm gonna drink this energy drink to keep the levels. So at least I'm still high to keep the anxiety off, but I don't want to be like, yeah, man, yeah. So energy drink.
You know, it's funny you say that because I was thinking to myself,
I probably still sound.
Can I have a coffee before we do this? And I'm like, I don't want to be, you know.
Why not? Go for it.
No, I've got plenty of energy. I mean, like I said, I tend to be up till.
Yeah, you're a night owl.
Mm. Yeah. So this is midday for me.
That's right. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm glad we're doing this because I've always wanted to bring this up. I've been meaning to bring this up multiple times, but that time on Instagram when you thought for a second I was a robot in your comment section. Do you remember? Do you recall that on Instagram? You made this post. You posted something, and then a bunch of bots were like saying promote, yada yada yada, and then I said the same shit. And you're like, I forget what you said exactly, but you said I think you almost deleted my comment or something because you thought.
I didn't realize who it was.
Yeah.
And when I realized it was you, I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. You got, but seriously, I mean, you saw what I'm talking about, though. I posted, oh my God. And it was the fucking NFT bros. I'm like, NFT bros, I hate you NFT bros. And I'm like, I hate the concept that, I've gone on about this. Yeah. I hate the concept of NFTs. And these guys will promote it, or, make an NFT. And I'm like, fuck you people.
Yeah.
I got really angry. And it's funny because the drawing that I did was of this kind of punky, gothy looking girl she was actually doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you people don't get it. You just don't understand. And that's because they weren't people, they were robots.
Yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky to like they're a fucking bot, but you still want to respond. You want that power. You want that last say. I have another friend that did the same thing. And I'm like, I'm like, I hope you're aware that you're just falling for it. Like, I do it too. And actually, sometimes I haven't done it in a while, but sometimes I'll just do it for fun. They'll be like, oh, promote and send pics to at something. And I'm like, oh, can you do it for me, actually? I'll just say something real dumb. Or I'll just say it's a trap.
This goes back to when, I guess you remember when people would call, like actually call instead of robocalls. We would get people that you get on the phone,
like telemarketers or whatever.
Yeah, and I would get hello, is the man of the house at home? And I'd answer, hold on. And I would hold the phone away from me and look in the opposite direction. I would go, I would say, hold on a second. There's a man on the phone for you. And then I would do this and go, yep. Who is it? Yeah. I don't know. Hold on. Who is this? And they, this is, mutual life insurance. And I'm like, hold on. It's mutual life insurance. Oh my God! Get the fuck off the phone! I'll fucking kill you! You know that? help. He's gonna kill. I get off the phone. I'm gonna. And these people, because the sound, it would sound like there was a guy across the room.
Yep.
I used to mess with those fuckers all the time. I hated those people. Now it's just robots. So now you just hang up on robots, which is fine. Well, man, I mean, until the robot apocalypse comes and they kill us.
But the power of hanging up. Remember
that? What though?
There's slamming the phone. You motherfucker!
Yeah, but that's the thing. Nowadays, it's like,
it's like fuck.
No, damn. Can't even slam the phone down anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to slam that fucking multi-$1,000.
You kids don't understand what it's like to slam a phone down.
Oh man, but it felt so good. The power,
catharsis, total catharsis. Like,
but
the problem is, now we're going back a long time here.
Yeah.
What used to happen was we would be sitting in the living room and the phone would be on the wall in the kitchen. And then what would happen is the phone would ring and go, oh no, somebody's calling. I wonder who it is. And you get up, you might even be a little excited. And then you get up and you get the phone. Hello. Can I talk to the lady of the house? You son of a bam. He still got you up off the couch.
Yep.
So,
well, sometimes the phones would be installed so high, I had to get it.
I was in the middle of my program. I was watching my stories.
Oh man! Actually, you mentioned your hatred towards NFTs. Did you hear about this? There's this article that I came across. The Bored Apes creators facing class action lawsuit. That smile.
The whole, I mean, look, when you are smarter than someone else and you get the upper hand, I get it. But when you start to prey on a group of people, that is unconscionable. And they have been preying on us artists. I remember when I first, and I went on about this, so I'm not going to go on as long, but I remember when I first saw it and I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
This guy made how many millions of dollars on a JPEG? And so then I looked into it and I spent I think 2 or 3 days going through YouTube videos and reading articles. And then I said, okay, let's try it. And I went to one of the sites and I was like, I got through it. And I'm like, oh, so basically if I put an NFT up and I got $500 for it, I would make 50.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else along the line in the chain would make all the rest of the money. And I'm talking a $500 thing. Mm-hmm. These people have sold things for millions.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Your scam has been revealed. Yeah. Your cryptocurrency. What the
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'm going to say is because there's a few artists that I'll say this. I don't like NFTs either. I don't like I don't know, when things become like a trend too. I don't know, it just feels like another trend, right? But some of the artists that I've seen that I follow, when they put up animated NFTs, and then this might just be because I came from an animation program. So I can appreciate the ones that are 3D animated and whatnot. It's like an animated piece.
Oh yeah.
But the ones that are, there are a lot of the ones that are just selling, like you said, like JPEGs for shitload of money, and often like there was one article. I think I went on a rant by myself on the podcast about it. Where a 13-year-old girl was like a multi-millionaire because of her NFT paintings, were just essentially like cell phone photos of paintings, and they were not great. I feel terrible to criticize another artist's work, but this was very elementary. Okay, and she was a millionaire from this. I'm like, that kind of,
All right. So there's a couple of different. All right.
Because but
Sometimes
I still don't agree with the whole thing anyway. But
no, it's well, like I said, for the most part. I mean, there are a couple of artists, a handful at best. Maybe this girl's one of them that actually made real money on this stuff. And
yeah, that I also don't know either. I should.
Yeah, well, hopefully none of that can be taken away.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about repeating, like, it's a goddamn JPEG. Some people take pictures of cereal boxes. A cereal box that somebody else designed, some other graphic designer did, and they're putting it up, and maybe they're making it go boop, 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 boop. I'm like, you know what? I respect artists. I respect the animators. I respect the people that do the work.
Yeah.
I do not respect this stupid process. And the other thing, like you're talking about something like a fad or whatever, like NFTs. There's also people that have made millions. There's several YouTube video creators, but one of them in particular, I forget his name, was a little kid. I think he was like 4 or 5 years old when his parents decided to put the video camera on him, or the iPhone, whatever you call it, on him when he was opening a box that he had gotten for his birthday or something, and to play with a toy. They put it online. They got 1 million hits, so they kept doing it, and they kept buying this kid toys and letting open them up, and people. And what was happening is parents would put the video on for the children to watch, and they were fascinated, and they would watch it over. And these people are YouTube millionaires.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, at least the
YouTubers. That's a whole nother beast. That's a whole other thing too. That shit's
It's a matter of, I think, using the medium to its, to the best of your own ability. Yeah. And this is like what you're doing here. This is great because it's a conversation. We talk about art. We talk about, and whatever art. It doesn't even matter if it's
I try to be very virtual about that word. I'm very open about like how art is perceived, because it could just be ideas or anything.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's what's good about what you're doing. You are actually nurturing society. You're nurturing a community, and that's cool. Some people, I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at the guys that did Jackass. They hit each other in the nuts and they make millions. And I'm like, whose fault is that? Well, that's us. That's the American and the world, the public of the world. This is all our fault because we're a bunch of fucking idiots. And we allow
actually a lot of them like, because podcasts, everyone's like on podcasts, but a lot of them have been expressing on podcasts. A lot are broke, even with the movie success. A lot of them are still pretty broke. I'm like, but when we're talking about media and like Hollywood and shit like that, that's all like really like it truly is like a facade. Once you kind of see behind the scenes of like how dark it can be.
I mean,
That's another thing.
well, yeah. I mean, I tend to not go to the movies a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I will go for a Marvel movie. I will. That's me. I'll go. Um, and these days I'm only going to the theater with the big comfy chair. You
Yeah.
know, like the recliner.
Yeah.
Only going to theaters like that because
Oh yeah.
that's oh yeah.
Treat
But
yourself.
right, you know, and I loved uh I loved Doctor Strange, and I enjoyed Thor, the most recent Thor. It wasn't the
I
best,
haven't
but
seen that one yet,
it
actually.
was good. It was fun. It's a fine romp, if you
Yeah.
will. And it's great for kids too because it's not too crazy. But
Yeah.
well, it is a little crazy, and you do see
Well,
Chris Hemsworth's butt. But
oh my.
there you
Well, there's
go.
I've seen in an article that there's a lot of Maori representation in, I guess, the in the lore, because Taika Waititi's from New Zealand. So there's a
What?
lot
Well,
of
I'm sorry. What representation?
Maori.
I'm not.
Maori? The natives of New Zealand.
I'm sorry. I wasn't hearing the word properly. It was kind of getting
Maori. Or
garbled.
Maori.
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 Okay, now I get you.
Sorry,
Well, there is though. You're
I
right.
am that stuck up asshole that like rolls the R.
There you go.
I am that guy, unfortunately. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
but there's supposedly a significant amount of representation of the culture in that. And
There is.
I love the culture, so I'm already kind of like looking forward to seeing it, but just haven't.
It's a good movie. It's
Yeah,
fun. I think what was the one before Ragnarok?
yeah,
Kind of think that one was a little better,
yeah.
but just a little. You know, it was a good
Mm,
movie, and it's like it's an uplifting thing too.
mm.
So it's good.
Okay.
Thor. This latest Thor is good. Um, but you know, when I can see a movie at home on my couch,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm very
I'm
picky. I'm very picky about when we'll step out to watch in the theaters. Um, yeah. Like unfortunately I didn't get to watch Dune in theaters, and I wanted to because of the soundtrack and like just not even the soundtrack, but just its whole sound
oh,
system.
you want the experience. No, I
I
get
want
it.
I wanted to be consumed in the environment, like the whole thing. So I like that. I enjoy that. But and
That
then
just
same
came
thing for
out.
like the Marvel movies too. Like they do that as well with their music and everything. So I love being in that experience. But if I can watch it at home, 100%. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of your YouTube viewers come from. They're like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit here. I'm not gonna. And YouTube picked up on it. And they're like, oh, okay. Want to watch movies? And there you go.
Yeah. Well, I will say, because I do miss, because the way, at least for me, the way I enjoy a movie when I'm streaming as opposed to actually going out in theaters, it is different. It is like, I don't know. I guess when you're in theaters, you are, let's say maybe 95% all in on the movie, because there might be something distracting in in the audience, but like the good 95% you're like completely engaged in on the film. Whereas like when you are, in my opinion, right, this is just my opinion, or speaking for myself, when I am home watching, uh I'm probably on my phone trying to, do the business stuff or whatever. Like there's distractions everywhere, and I can freely pause and do whatever, or um so that, and that's, again, this is just personally, that's a little like that bums me out a little bit, even though like I'm doing it. But it's like, oh, if this was in the movies, like I'm fully engaged and like really like being entertained by this film and like taking it all in.
I'm very happy though that now in the movie theater they have the big comfy chairs.
Yeah, the chairs make a difference for sure.
Not only is it more comfortable, of course, but they're spaced in such a way that the idiot behind you is not going to kick your chair.
Exactly.
And the jackass in front of you looking at his phone isn't going to distract you. So, you know, you're in a theater, it's a dark theater, you're good. And then the chairs rotate, they vibrate. So it's like, I mean, that's a good thing, but I got to be honest, especially when I'm watching something that's like Dune, that's going to be what's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
That was probably a bad example. That was more.
No. I'm not. I wanted to see Dune in the theaters too. It was just the timing was weird. It was still, you know, mid-COVID.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
No, that's probably why I didn't convince like my wife to go see it in theaters.
The only other
film too.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is though, it's long, and I have got to pause it to pee.
Go for it.
When we're in a movie theater, I'm like, all right, I'm peeing beforehand, and I'm absolutely going to pee when it's over. But I'm here now. Let's go. I'm like looking at my watch. How long is this movie? All right.
Wait. Was that for the? Do you have to pee for real?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm diabetic.
Well,
so I usually pee. Yeah, no. I'm not kidding. When I'm in a movie,
I know, but I'm just saying you didn't have to say that. I was gonna say, go ahead, you can go pee because I can always edit.
Oh no! I'm talking about. No. Yeah. I was referring to being in a movie theater.
God,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
All right. I was trying to clarify. I'm like, if you had to pee, like for real, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I took a turn on you, and I didn't let you know. No blinker.
I wasn't in on the bit. I feel I wasn't in on the bit 100%.
Oh no. I'm fine right now. I mean, I have been drinking a lot of water, and when we're done, I am going. But that's the first place I'm gonna go. But yeah,
okay, I totally get what you're saying, though.
Yeah. When I'm home and I'm like, all right, pause this shit.
Yeah,
I'm going to. I mean, and it's fine. It's like a rewind a little bit if you need to.
At that point, you pick and choose your battles, right? So it's like again, you become selective about like, oh, like this movie is like. I'm definitely gonna commit to this one and go out of my way to see it because, like, I believe in this movie. You know, like, it's gonna be great, no matter what.
No matter what, I come for you.
Actually, I wanted to pick your brain real quick. I wanted to go back to art, and like, your thoughts on AI producing artwork. Because this is kind of recurring thought I always have now, and I've kind of talked about it with some recent guests. I've briefly talked about it on my own, so I'm now picking other artists' brain about this.
I was contacted. I don't think I was singled out, but I was contacted probably in a mass email and asked if I wanted to participate in this. And the way that it was brought to me, there were so many emotions. The first emotion that I always have when it comes to AI, and you know, Siri, you know I love you.
Hold on, let me just smash my phone real quick in this iPad.
When it comes to AI, I am frightened by AI, and I will tell you, it's as simple as, what the fuck are you doing? Have you never seen a science fiction movie? Why is it that science fiction has to predict the future all the fucking time? I'm not kidding. It's like,
no, I'm with you.
I mean, Jesus, go back to fucking Rossum's Universal Robots. Go read a book. I mean, the AI is going to kill you. What's the first? Okay, sorry. What's the first thing that you think a computer is going to do when it becomes self-aware? It's going to search the internet. What's on the internet? Everything. Everything's on the internet.
There have been claims of certain AIs that like this is just like hearsay, so I really can't like give you the source that I heard it from. It's just from other podcasts. But I remember hearing a story about an AI claiming that it was sad or something. And then there was another one where it thought it was like in a room with like in a classroom with other students or something. There were like these other stories I heard from about these AIs being like kind of starting to have like a self-awareness. And I'm like, right. Now whether it's true or not, right? I'm not like, I don't 100% subscribe to it, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, you know, we've seen this shit in movies, like, you know, so like I'm not surprised. Like I'm like, it's shocking, right? But I'm like, well, here we are. But
there is a reality to this, though.
Yeah.
They did an experiment a handful of years ago. Microsoft created an AI and they gave it its own Twitter account. And it was released in the morning one day, and it said, "Hello, I don't know what its name was. I'm Bob. I'm an AI from Microsoft, and I'm here to learn and grow. Will you interact with me?" Within less than 24 hours, the AI, because it absorbed what it was being told and absorbed it became a Nazi.
Yep.
And I'm like, and they took it down. They were like, "Oh shit," and they took it down. This is the problem. When look, Isaac Asimov, just read a goddamn book of Isaac's people. Just, I wish these scientists. I mean, I always assume that these scientists, and I shouldn't assume this. I always assume that these scientists know science fiction, because why would you become a scientist unless you're a fan? But so if what's going to happen is they're going to create an AI, which they've been doing. And the moment it becomes sentient, now sentience is a specific thing. It becomes self-aware.
Yeah.
The moment it becomes self-aware, now it's a computer, okay? It's going to see all of the internet, which means it's going to see the sum total of human knowledge in one split second. And then it's going to be like, this infestation must be eradicated. Bam!
Yeah.
Terminator.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying it's just, do you listen? You don't listen to a lot of podcasts, right? Or do you?
I listen to a few. A lot of them are. It's not you.
Are you okay? All right, because there's this this AI engineer, Lex Friedman. Ring a bell?
I've heard the name, but not on a podcast.
Okay.
I've read.
I mean, his podcast very dense, because like the people, like he has like legit like scientists and on all sorts of fields, and I don't know. It's just funny because when, like, not a lot of people like Joe Rogan, but when he has like these people, these intellectuals, like specialists in whether it's AI or neurobiology or whatever, but when the conversation of machines or AI taking over, it's just funny, like trying to hear the side of the scientists, because I guess they don't deny, like, they don't necessarily deny that it can, the possibilities, but it's a matter of like when or how far out like that possibility is. So I mean, if we're lucky, we're not gonna live through the takeover will be
I
dead
might
before
not.
that happens.
You're younger than me, man.
Yeah, but not that old, not that much though, dude. I'm gonna be 36 soon. That's not. I mean, that's not that young. Like
I love
once
you.
my testosterone starts dropping, that's not that young, man.
You know, it's fascinating though that you said that, because I really would like to hear a scientist's perspective on
For
why
sure.
we think it's okay to create AI. And when they say AI, um, they really don't say it out loud. They don't say that they're trying to create sentience.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just, I mean, and you're right. Yeah, I guess like when you would have to listen to them like explain their side of it, like what it is that the task that they're doing, like the specifics, but they generally don't seem as worried as like you and I would be, or any skeptic. That at least they don't
Nobody's
they
worried
always say
about
like it's not in like our lifetime where we're gonna have to worry about that. But hey, we've been proven wrong and we tend to repeat bad habits. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's just that I get it, but
Yeah.
I don't. I honestly, I could not even list all the science fiction
Oh,
that
there's so much.
and like I said, it goes back to Rossum's Universal Robots, and then and beyond. I mean, it's or before. It's you're talking about something that's you're create, and I get it. Look, I get we want to create. I love create. You love to create. We all want to create,
Yeah.
and scientists want to create too, and they have
Mhm.
a passion for their work, and they go on and they create a little. Like I remember just years ago when they created these little robots. They're tiny little things that had wheels on them, and they could go back and forth and in circles.
Yeah.
And but they gave them what an AI does, and it's happening every minute of every day right now anyway.
Yeah.
What an AI does is it gathers information. Well,
Mhm.
what gathers information on us? Every single thing we do. We use
Mhm.
the internet, we use the phone, we use social media. Everything gathers information on us. So these little robots were encased in a terrarium. It was a circular terrarium, and they were allowed to roll around. Well, one of them developed anxiety. You could see it, because
Like
what happened is
hesitancy.
he would go in one direction and bump into something. He would go in another direction and bump into something,
Oh,
and
wow.
it started to worry. I don't want to bump into things, so
Yeah.
it just went around in circles.
Uh,
And it's like, oh, good, you just gave a robot trauma. Awesome, good job. And that's
yeah.
and the thing about it is that is in the sum total of human knowledge, and the robots are going to see this,
Yeah.
and then they're also going to see how we've abused them. And I don't even want to see, this is
All right. Well,
I
I
know
will
why
say
you asked. I know why you asked. I totally get it. And the whole the AI art thing,
yeah.
I don't like that at all. Why? Because you're already removing us from the equation as
Yeah.
artists. You're always removing us from the equation. Like, look at Fiverr, the goddamn website Fiverr. I
Right.
don't know how many people. I don't charge $5 for a logo. Sorry.
Yeah. I've never been on Fiverr, so I'm like completely unaware of how bad that
Well,
could
I'm
be.
not giving out the URL. If you want to, search it, you guys can go search it yourself.
I've heard some people mention it, like
Yeah.
looking for work, but I just never.
It's just where we're, like I said, we're being removed from an equation. And
Yeah.
even like when people go overseas for stuff, instead of using American services, American workers lose out. And now they're just trying. You're trying to use a computer instead of an artist.
Dude,
I get it. I get it. You don't want to spend the money.
When Facebook, I don't know if it was like a Facebook like app like add-on thing or filter or whatever, but at one point I've noticed people I'm friends with started posting these these beautifully illustrated like portraits. I guess I don't know if they would submit a photo and it would like add this like painting filter on top of it, but it was like a nice like art, like it was a nice portrait painting, digital. But people like I had a friend that was just like going through like all her family members and just made all these beautiful digital paintings, and I'm like, damn, like like you just kind of
how much money could an artist have made? Now, granted, maybe she would never have gone to an artist to
that's
do
what
that.
I was, and that's what I'm saying. Like I've thought about that too, right? These are just people that like they just wanted something instant, right? Like instant gratification.
And yeah, but
I get that, but still, I'm like, it's just, I don't know. I guess like having a tool like that available, like it's just, it does hurt the artist, especially those that like to work with our hands traditionally. Like that's why it crushes me. Like, sure, I can fucking go on the iPad and on Procreate and do that too, but
sure,
we're all very specific in our craft sometimes.
You've got a lot of artists in the industry, in the comic book industry, let's say, that trace, and I mean, we won't mention names, Adam Hughes, and when they
I don't know,
or Greg Horn, and they trace I've seen one artist that I may or may not have just mentioned who will take computer take photos from the computer and kind of Frankenstein a body together and then use it on a light table and trace it. And then, of course, they come back with their own Photoshop skills and whatever else to paint the piece. I get it. I like to draw things. I like to draw things on paper and from my head. I mean, and when I draw in the iPad, I mean, am I using reference? I'm always using reference.
Yeah.
Am I tracing reference? No, I'm not tracing reference.
The only time I trace is if I'm inking. Whether
exactly. If
whether
you're
on paper or on digital, that's my tracing is inking.
Exactly. And
I didn't mean to cut you off there because I have because that's like a kind of like a touchy thing for me too with like tracing, the concept of tracing.
Have you seen the movie Chasing Amy, the Kevin Smith movie?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, all right, because you just said something, and what happens is, I'll really quickly. The two main characters in the movie are a writer and a writer artist and an inker, and his best friend who's an inker.
Yeah.
And at a convention, they're sitting at a con, and somebody comes up to the writer, who is Ben Affleck, and he has him sign the book. And then he goes to his friend, and he goes, the fan hands his friend the book, and Jason Lee, I believe, and he hands him the book, and as he's handing him the book, he goes, "So what did you do on the book?" He goes, "Oh, I'm the inker." And he goes to sign it, and the guy pulls the book away. He goes, "I'm not having a tracer sign my book." And he explodes. He goes, "I add depth and shadow to the drawings." I love that. Anyway, but
like, all right, hold on, because like I've been seeing a lot of like vector artists or vector art, and it's cool. Like I mean I wouldn't be able to pull it off, but
I do vector art. What are you talking about?
All right, I don't know. There's like, all right, maybe it's not vector art, so I'm gonna try to be careful about like how I
don't know. I mean, I'm just curious what you're talking about.
I don't know. Well, it just looks like something has been traced. So like I've seen some like I don't know how to like it just looks
vector art. Just so you know, vector art is something you would create in a CAD program like Illustrator. Okay. And when you're working in Illustrator, what you're doing, and I hate to sound like a robot myself, but what you're doing is you're creating lines, color, shapes. You're creating a piece with a mathematical equation. When you create a line, you're using what's called a Bezier curve. So instead of actually drawing that line, you click, drag, click, and then so it can look too perfect if somebody spent that much time on it. But you're not wrong, because there's a lot of art out there, and there's a lot of people out there that have been accused of tracing. But the problem is, I could look at somebody like Drew Struzan. Okay, Drew Struzan has been a poster artist. He's very famous for the Back to the Future trilogy posters.
Okay.
Where Marty is standing at the car and he's looking at his watch, and then the professor is behind. Those are what they call, he used what he called what's called a Lucy. It's a big box, and it's a light box essentially, and photographs were put into it. We're going back in the day. So the photographs were put into it, and then he had a paper and a light was it was this monstrous light box thing, and he would trace the faces simply because it had to look like I forgot his name.
Oh shit, Fox.
Yes, Michael J. Fox. Thank you. Sorry. Brain.
I only got the one part of his name.
No. Hey, we did it together. It was a group
teamwork.
But teamwork. Team G. But when he worked, now he was doing work for hire. It was production, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you see a comic book come out, and it's about Star Trek. And you want the faces to look like either Shatner or Chris Pine, so you use reference, and maybe occasionally there's a traced image because it's like a portrait type of a thing, and he's like, but I don't know. I did tracing. I have a problem with it simply because of the fact that I worked really hard to make my faces look like the people I'm drawing.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm very the same way. I'm trying to be better about like how I articulate my thoughts on like
no. You articulated fine. I think that
because I don't know, I feel like styles, like you were able to identify different styles of work. Now, like I guess with all the possibilities with digital art, like it's just like you can do so much with it. So when I say vector art, I mean I'm probably like being very like general about the
it's not wrong to assume that, simply because sometimes it is. And there is something that you can do with the vector, is you can map a face or whatever you're drawing, and it will automatically trace it. So even the person that's drawing it isn't making the lines. You just put the picture in and hit a button, and it auto traces it. So you might not be wrong. I don't know what you were looking at, but at the same time, there are artists that use, and I use Illustrator regularly, but I don't do the same kind of stuff. Like I don't do that kind of stuff with vectors. I would do logos and iconic icons, like little icon things. But when it comes to vector art, you're not wrong. There are methods of doing it. And
I think because like when I see your work, I have a general knowledge of how you do it, right? The process. So again, like it depends like who I'm referring to, but there are some artists I know that do a lot of trace painting. Like I'm not gonna even say vector art. Like they look like they've been literally just traced on like Photoshop or Procreate or something. And you know, like if that's like your thing, that's cool. But I guess I'm just addressing like I feel indifferent about it because of our like or my I'm sorry, I'm saying our, but my creative background, you know,
oh, same
coming
here.
from okay, I didn't want to like speak for you, but we come from I
You're my
guess
buddy. You go for it.
we come what we do, we come from like a similar like
Yeah.
traditional art background. Like these skill sets were like they were like you have to like have these skill sets. You have to be able to construct or deconstruct whatever you're illustrating.
Yeah.
And now with digital illustration and the possibilities with it, you can get away with just tracing, you know, outlining. Yeah, if you have like a photo, you outline the person's head, then you just freaking take the color, you drag it and drop it into the whole outline, and then you already got your base color, and then you just start adding in the little shit, which is like it's great. Like people are all phenomenal with it. Like you know, in a way, I envy that because I don't have the patience to learn the depth of it. But I guess I just like when because this is the thing in school at the Art Institute. Who was it? Which teacher? I think I had a teacher that would say like, oh, if you can tell how like they animated this scene, like how this was done, like you didn't really do a good job. You know, like whoever is watching, yeah, like if they can tell like how, like I don't know, like let's say like the walk cycle, if they're able to tell how you did the walk cycle or something, like you didn't, you know, you didn't do that great or something
How
like
do
that.
how do you, or you've seen the films of Ralph Bakshi, I'm assuming.
I'm bad with names.
All right. Um,
That's why sometimes I say I'm the worst artist because I'm
no. It's names. I remember faces. I often forget names, but Ralph Bakshi was the animator that did American Pop and Lord of the Rings. And I know he did. Oh, well, one of
the original Lord of the Rings anime.
Yes, the animated Lord of
that
the
was a
Rings.
lot of rotoscope in that one.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Rotoscoping is essentially tracing.
Yeah.
And American Pop, I don't know if you've seen it. You may want to, simply because it is an animation feat, but it's a lot of rotoscoping.
So I think with that though, now this is probably getting too specific, but I guess at least like with rotoscoping, coming from an animation background, right? Doing and I chose the traditional route or at least doing frame by frame. So I can appreciate the tracing aspect of that because you're fucking doing like, you know, 20,
you got to do
24 frames per second.
You got to do, yes.
Yeah, so at least it's like it's for something that's going to provide movement, action.
I agree.
But if it's, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
But at the same time, somebody like Ralph Bakshi, though, he cut his teeth on Fritz the Cat and Wizards. Wizards is amazing. I mean, that's, you know, he was working with Vaughn Baudet on the character designs, but the animation, you couldn't rotoscope a Vaughn Baudet. It's too overtly cartoonish. He did use in some scenes, he did use just like a live action scene, and then he just essentially used the histograms on and like you would in Photoshop. I didn't have Photoshop, but they changed the contrast to make it look more cartoony. But that was only in a couple of scenes in Wizards. I think he did that in Lord of the Rings too. But I mean, insofar as I mean, it's
went deep on that one.
Can of worms. What's that?
I say we went deep on this one.
No, but hey. When it comes to animation, I mean, animation is a.
Well, I feel like when I have these like indifferent thoughts or feelings about
Yeah.
other styles of our aesthetics. Like, I don't know. I just like, oh man, I probably sound so arrogant or something, or
I
whatever
don't think so.
it may be. I don't know.
I mean, maybe I'm arrogant too. So
I don't know. I mean, you don't come off that way, so I don't. I guess I've been trying to just be careful about how I say things. I guess you never know.
oh, that's you know what? That's always a
'Cause
good
I'm bad,
tactic.
bad with words.
I agree with that. But tracing, I mean, you're right though. I do have a problem with that, but at the same time,
it is a useful tool. I think
it is.
I think the intention though, it's no, not the intention, but I guess when you can look at the end result, I don't know. I guess like I'm just very particular. Like if I can tell that shit was traced, it's like, I just don't appreciate it as much as if it was done differently. That's the best way I can put it. It
No, yeah,
probably sounds really fucked up, but I mean,
not
I
wrong.
really,
But
I'm trying not to like call out any particular artist too, because I do have
no. Look,
specific ones in mind. So
I've done things in the past when, like, for instance, I needed a New York City background. And this was for a client. I had to do a character, and then I had to do a New York City skyline. And I'm like, I'm going to trace this skyline. I mean, it wasn't actually a skyline. It was like a perspective thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to be the work that would the hours that it would have taken to do that. The client wasn't willing to pay for. So I had to work as efficiently as possible. And I did the New York City scape. I took a photo. This is back in the day. I took a photo and I light boxed it. And I'm like, there you go. Yeah. A friend of mine saw that and he looked at it and he goes, that's fantastic. And I'm like, well, just so you know, I traced the city in the background. He goes, it doesn't matter. He goes, not everybody can trace as well as you can. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll take that as a compliment. So circumstances really are really involved in this kind of a thing. Yeah. If you're putting a piece out, like a lot of, like I said, I do listen to other podcasts. A lot of them tend to be comic book podcasts, and a lot of the hosts or podcasters or whatever, they take umbrage at artists like that, that use the Victoria's Secret catalog. They say the people that they take a page out of the Victoria's Secret catalog and they trace it and then put an emblem on their chest and they're done. And it's like, I understand that and I agree, but what if they're using the Victoria's Secret catalog as reference and drawing it? That's where the gray area comes in. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I have taken, various gentlemen's magazines and used the photographs as reference. Yeah. And then for the last 15 years, I've run life drawing classes where I draw a live nude model. Yeah. I can do it either way. So I mean, and I get your
I think the circumstances, they do matter, right? I think it depends again, right? It depends on the particular artwork that, like, I'm thinking right now, the ones I'm thinking of are a lot of, actually, it's funny you mentioned like the podcast, because it's a lot of like podcast logos, and a lot of them involve like headshots of the hosts with like some, whether it's like a microphone or something, that's like, oh, this is a podcast, like this is a logo for a podcast. So it always involved these like portraits, and they were just very, like, they're just illustrated portraits, digitally illustrated portraits. So I said vector because it's just like, the way they were painted. very vector like. So it
And
kind of appeared as like it looked like someone just kind of like took a photo of that person and then just digitized it,
that's really possible.
and added, instead of using original colors, they just used a better color palette. And you know what yeah. So I feel like I'm butchering like
No,
the
no, no.
description.
I get exactly what you're saying.
Right. That's why I
And
said vector, because like I don't know, I kind of imagine, using Illustrator. I mean, I imagine that's how it would have been done on Illustrator. Someone would have like taken a
if it
photo.
is a vector, most likely it was done in Illustrator. It could have been done in Corel Draw. I think they do vectors too.
Or even Procreate,
Well, Procreate doesn't use a vector.
But not vector, but I mean, even just the style of the digital illustrating, the digital painting.
And there is a difference. Procreate and Photoshop would be considered pixel artwork. Vector is a very different thing because it's created with a mathematical equation.
Right.
It can be enlarged exponentially without any degradation.
So I guess instead of saying either of those two, I'll say like the digital painting is clean. It's just like the line quality very clean. It's just a very clean digital painting.
Yeah.
Of who said podcast host and whatever.
There's an artist that I have followed for a long time. He used to go by the name John Boy. I don't know what he goes by now, but he's really good. And I've had communication with him. And I said, dude, are you using Illustrator? How are you getting these lines so clean? He goes, no, man, I don't use Illustrator. I just spend hours cleaning this thing up in Photoshop. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I love it. I love his work. It's gorgeous. His lines are so clean. But I'm like, I would be like, there's the line. It's done. I ain't gonna sit there for hours cleaning up a line. I'm like, the line went down the way it did. Everything's good. We're happy now. Moving on.
Yeah, that's wild. Shit. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know how we got into tracing, but
dude, this is trained. This is what they call stream of consciousness.
Yeah. Well, just I guess it stemmed from the AI talk, because I've been seeing other things like AI creating music or AI generating speeches.
Yeah,
and all this stuff.
Oh, how about the whole deep fake thing?
Oh, don't even get me started on that, man.
See, that's where AI is gonna fucking kill us. They're gonna replace the president or the world leader of some sort with an AI, and then we're fucked.
Yeah.
All right, that's how I feel about it. I'm like, the robots are gonna kill us, man. And then I'm like,
unless we finally get to interact with our visitors that keep popping in, and they stop us from getting to that point.
We please interstellar policemen or whatever you are, we beseech you.
I think they're us, man.
Come to us. Let us know of your existence. Help us. And don't eat us, please. Nice.
I think
I wish I had it plugged in. One of my buddies gave me an electric kazoo. It literally has a, I don't know what you would call that, and then it plugs into the amplifier.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Have you used it at a show?
I haven't used it at a show yet. I've been threatening to use it at the show. I
saw you guys did a cover of Linkin Park's In the End. That was
how did you like that?
It was interesting. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very honest with you, my friend. I thought that was a risky attempt.
Was it bad?
No.
Oh, okay.
He pulled it off. Sorry.
No, no, no,
I tend
no.
to do that with people.
No, that's fine.
I don't get to
I'm
the point. No, it was good. But it was I can't imagine how an acoustic set would cover like in the end. So that's why I said it was interesting, because I'm trying to think of another example of a music artist that covered in the end, but in acoustic form. You know, if anything,
I looked it
sure,
up.
maybe a piano, but you
I
guys just
looked
did
it up. Nobody else has done it. Nobody else has done it with acoustic guitars. And
Yeah.
when that was our keyboardist John suggested, because he was sitting there one night while we were practicing, and he started doing that riff, and I'm like, "Oh, do you want to do that song?" And he's like, "We could." And my buddy Jason, who plays guitar with me, he was like, "You want to do that? You want to sing it?" I'm like, I would do it right now. We got the music, okay, like the sheet music. The first time we did it, boom, beautiful. Everything was absolutely exactly the way you saw it.
Yeah.
It flowed so freely out of us. And Jason was like, "I guess I'm rapping." And I'm like, "Yes, you are." And he did I was very happy with that performance.
Nice.
And the one thing that I really liked about it is what you just said, is that no one else does that. We like to do. I can't wait there's a set that we're working on coming up. Nobody does this stuff at an open fucking mic night. No one. And did you see, I mean, if you watch the video, and I obviously you did, but where the camera is like pointing at us.
Yeah.
Behind me, there are people hanging out outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as John starts going, dun, 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 because I go up to the microphone. We didn't have that digital
sound. It's an easy riff. Everyone can identify that riff.
Right. But you know the sound that happens in the beginning? It's like that.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have that. So I just went up to the microphone. I was like, nobody knew what the hell I was doing. They were like, "What's he doing?" And then all of a sudden, John comes in with the riff, and everybody stopped, and they're like, "Is that?" And then I'm like, "It starts with what?" And they were done. They were all out there. Like, one of the guys, he's very cool. His name's Dave. He's like, he's like singing, with a very emotively. That was one of my favorite performances. Nice. I really enjoyed that. One of the ones that I didn't put up yet, we did Billy Idol's "Dancing with Myself."
Oh,
acoustically.
Okay.
And the entire place got up and danced around the room. They actually had a conga line. It was crazy. Really, you know what? That's something that I do for love. I don't get paid to do music often at this point. I do it because I really dig it. And
that's great. I think that's great to have.
And sure. I was really happy with that performance.
Yeah, so. That's awesome.
Thanks for bringing it up. That's cool.
Well, I mean,
it was a choice.
And it's look great, even though you just do it because you love it. But hey, man, that's another art form that you pursue. So why leave that out? I think the audience should know that you are an artist of other.
Yes.
Can't think of the word.
I'm like, yeah.
But I do have. Can I put in a request on a cover?
Oh, sure.
And hey, look, I don't know. You can. I'm not saying you, but Stan Bush, The Touch from Transformers. You got the touch. Or If not that one,
I got to tell you,
I honestly I am a genuine fan of Stan Bush though. So
that's cool. What was the other one you were going to mention?
it was just gonna be another Stan Bush song.
Sure. What's the other one?
It was either The Touch or Dare, and they're both from the Transformers animated movie.
And what's really cool about that is that Jason is a huge 90s kid. It's all 90s shit with him. Transformers. My friend Michael Parla on Instagram. He did illustrations of, remember Mask, the cartoon.
Mask, like the acronym Mask.
Yeah, MASK.
Okay, yeah.
They were vehicles.
Yeah, I never like so I remember it, but I was not at age. I don't actually recall.
I think you might have been a little young for that.
Yeah, I was like a little bit. That was like a little bit before my time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was
But I
that
remember
was
that
around.
cartoon.
Yeah, that was around the time the Transformers were on TV.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a rip off of Transformer. Everybody was like, "Oh, we got to do vehicles."
I mean, everything around that era, right? Everything was kind of.
Oh yeah.
It was such a competition.
Get the boys in here. We got to do a vehicles cartoon.
Yeah.
That was what. But he's Jason is a big, Transformers and 90s cartoons and stuff, and he loves 90s music, so
nice.
He probably knows these songs.
Fuck yeah. Well, that would be awesome.
I'll let him know. Yeah. I said, we have a request. How do you feel about these? I'll let him know.
Dude, honestly though, the 90s, like the cartoons were so like I fell into a deep hole because I've just other guests on the podcast, we fall into these rabbit holes of talking about, just nostalgia and going over like talking about old cartoon. Well, I always bring up old cartoons, and I fell into this fucking deep rabbit hole of I caught myself watching compilation videos of like, the best like 90s cartoon intros or whatever. So I was seeing all these like fucking old cartoons from the 90s, and just, man, they really tried things. there was one cartoon, I don't remember the name, shockingly, but it was like a bunch of cows that were, I think, pirates or something, or no, cowboys. There's cowboys, but they were cows, like they're actual cows. But just the things they did, it's just,
there was so much cocaine in the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. But again, right, I guess like just looking back on it, like I can appreciate the attempts and everything, and the creativity. They really fucking went with it, and I appreciate it now. No matter how ridiculous it was, like
you know what, it was great that the ideas were not just shunned immediately. They had an idea and it was like, all right, let's do it. Let's put cows on horses.
Yeah, like things didn't have to like really make sense. Now things have to make sense.
Well, I mean, a lot of times too, though, back then they were like, we have this toy. What are we going to do with it? I know. True. Let's make a cartoon.
Toys were like a major factor in that.
We got amazing cartoons that way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, so, with creativity, it's good.
I fell into a rabbit hole of watching toy commercials too during the 90s. And I was like, man, good times. Good fucking times.
Honestly, you could. I've done that with toys from the 70s, like the Mego action figures. I love those things.
Yeah. And like, I have older siblings, so I got to appreciate some, this stuff they grew up on too. That's why, like I have an idea of a lot of the references that you and Nick would, you know, bring up. Like I have a general sense of it because you guys are like around my siblings' age, so you know I can sort of relate to an extent.
You know what? And it's good that you've got knowledge of the various different generations of this stuff.
A little bit.
I saw it all happen, and I was like, really? That's a cartoon? All right. Motorcycle mice from Mars?
Yep, that's another great one.
Or I think it was biker mice from Mars.
Yeah, biker mice from Mars. And there was another one with like what's the name? It was like this green rabbit. It was like a space sci-fi cartoon, and there was
Bucky O'Hare.
Thank you. I used to have that toy. And
yeah, so did I.
Toxic Avenger. Like, again, these ideas are fucking, like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff out there today too, but it's just something, it's different. It's just
I've always loved the craziest stuff. And one of the cartoons was based on a comic book, and it was Sam and Max Freelance Police. They made a video game out of it, and it was more recent, the video game. But if you look up at some point, Sam and Max Freelance Police, and I mean, I actually I was at a show, I was at a con, and I found a DVD of all the episodes. I'm like, oh, this is mine. I'm like,
yeah, okay,
right.
Yeah, I saw the intro to this too. It
was one of the most absurd and outrageous cartoons. I loved it. I'm glad they made at least a season, but I'm sad they didn't make more. Yeah. But if you read, the comics are insane.
Oh, I believe it.
But the Steve Purcell, I think Steve Purcell was the creator. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Man,
it inspired me in my work. Like my favorites have always been like the Tick.
Oh, I was just gonna bring up the Tick.
Oh,
you see the Tick in my background here?
You've got a Tick in the background?
Yeah, dude. Oh, nice. Yeah, bro. Oh, I'm so jealous. Hold on. Now, yeah, we're totally.
Oh, there he is. He's got the yellow T-shirt on.
He's supposed to talk, but he doesn't work. That's the part.
Can you get a battery in him or something?
I had him in front of the mic like he was gonna.
You hold him up to the mic. Nice. Look at him. What does it say? I dig.
It's the.
Oh, Dinosaur Neil. Yes.
Oh yeah, but here I got a few, dude. It's crazy. Hold on, I only got like 4, but. Sorry, people that are watching.
I got those. I got those. Those are in the other room. That's awesome. I got Arthur, the Tick. I don't have that guy. I have, my favorite one. My favorite one is Dean. Remember Dean? It's really funny because he's this big guy. He's like a henchman, but his head.
Oh, it's a screw.
It's a wingnut. Yeah, and it's like he could easily have been called Wingnut, but they didn't. They called him Dean. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I had the first season on DVD.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. I think they just put out the second season like about 2 years
ago. It's also on is it Hulu? I think it's Hulu.
Oh, it's the one I don't have, of course. But I don't know. The Tick was. I met Ben Edlund. I met Ben Edlund during his time working on the Tick. Like right after he initially published, I think only 3 or 4 issues were out, and I met him.
Oh, wow.
The man is huge.
Nice.
He's so tall, and I was like, "You're Ben Edlund." He's like, "Yes, I am." I'm like, I love your work. And I was like, I remember at the time I had done, I don't know if you remember Fishman.
The comic
book I did.
Oh, yeah.
The little one. They were little ones.
Yeah.
I had one and I gave it to him. He goes, "Wow, this is really cool." And I was like, "Yes, Ben Edlund." he's fantastic. You know, he was part of Joss Whedon's team.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, he's
I mean, there's a lot I don't know, so
yeah. Well,
that's
I'm
pretty
just
cool.
I know this stuff because I'm like I'm
Yeah,
a geek. I'm a total geek.
that's
You
cool.
know, rather than going and exercising and working out,
Stop.
that's what I do. No, I'm not even. But yeah, so I mean, like the Tick and Sam and Max and well the Flaming Carrot. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Flaming Carrot.
I'm not sure.
One
I'm
of
gonna
the
say no. It
crazy,
doesn't ring a bell, but maybe if I saw it again, I have to see these things.
one of the craziest comic books ever. Not even kidding. My mom was in like one of those little shopping towns, like
Oh, okay. I recognize the
New
artwork
Hope.
now.
Oh yeah,
So
my mom
yeah,
was like New Hope or something, and she went into a comic book shop, and she's like, "What's the weirdest comic book you have?" And he's like, "That will be this one." And she brought it home, and it was the Flaming Carrot, and I'm like, "This is my favorite character for a long time." And
I've been
so,
intrigued by the Mask comic lately. Like I've been wanting to at least own
the original one,
the yeah. I love the movie, honestly.
yeah,
You know, I'm a big Jim Carrey fan, and I think he
yes,
crushed it. And
it's a
I'm
very different
aware,
comic.
huh? Oh,
It's a
I'm
very
aware.
different.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
aware. I'm aware. It's a lot darker, right? It's a lot
it's
more
a little,
violent.
yeah, it's a bit darker.
Yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah,
fully aware of that, but I don't know. I've been intrigued by it. I've been
that's a great movie though.
Oh, I loved it. I just, just as like a performance piece too. Like it's so funny and they don't make them like they used to.
They don't make them like they used to. You kids don't understand.
James. Well, it's funny, because like you're saying, like, being a geek and kind of bringing Tyler back up because he would come back to me about appearing on his podcast, and I'm like, I'm like a different kind of geek. Like I feel like whatever he wants to talk about, I'm probably not the right person to talk to. like I have opinions, sure, but to have, I don't know, I guess like an intellectual discussion. I don't know. Like I honestly, I can't wait till our podcast comes out because I don't even remember like what we talked about.
I don't remember what I said.
No, because like I do recall being more like I feel like we've had like debates on stuff. So like I guess like if I was beneficial to his platform, like I was good to have as someone to have any sort of pushback on an opinion or something, So I felt like that maybe if that's the case, like maybe that's what will make the podcast interesting. I don't know, but because there were like things like I kind of disagreed on, so I felt like, oh, this would be an interesting.
It's always it's opinions. I mean, that's what makes
Yeah.
things better. What was funny, the last one that I did, which was literally a week ago today. I was on. He came here because he's not
Okay.
far away from me. He
Mhm.
came here and he set up, and he had his buddy on the podcast too, because apparently we were supposed to represent differing opinions on Marvel and DC, which we kind of did.
Okay.
His guest liked his guest actually liked the Man of Steel and the Snyder cut. You know how I feel about that stuff. We're not going to go.
I did kind of like Man of Steel, but let me just say something here. I'm not a very close DC fan, so I don't know the true lore of Superman and all that. So whatever I'm missing is because I just was
And I
not
get that.
a close follower.
I get that.
I have strong opinions like that for like X-Men, but again, I'm also a very forgiving fan. So that's why I'm like, when it comes to being like a geek on stuff, it's like I'm like very wishy-washy.
Well, what was funny about the episode is that it's supposed to be a discussion about, Marvel versus DC.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like both comic book companies.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily appreciate the movie output from DC, but their TV stuff was good, and I don't necessarily appreciate a lot of the TV that came out from Marvel prior to like the Netflix stuff. And then but their movies are phenomenal. I mean, one. And when we were talking though, you know how what I said was in the middle of it, because we're again Marvel and DC, and Tyler is bringing up these very in-depth, specific references to different manga or anime, and I'm like, I said, so I think I was on with this guy named Steve. I'm like, Steve, let's do this. Let's start a drinking game, and everybody takes a drink when Tyler makes an anime reference. And I'm like, he's like, Tyler's like, what are you trying to do? Kill my audience? There you go.
It's so funny you said that, because I think that at one point, I don't know which podcast, if it was mine or on his, but I did point out, I'm like, because he likes to quote characters, and I'm like, man, you really like to go back and quote characters from, whether it's like gargoyles or something. I'm like, you're always quoting characters.
He can remember it. I can't. I'm like,
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. So when he asks for me to come back, or if I would want him to come back, I'm like, because like, I don't know, my experience with him, I don't know, maybe it's different, or maybe I look at it differently than how you would your interaction with him, but it just it felt repetitive when we did the podcasts, because how like on this platform, like we try to get as raw and authentic and all that.
This is off the rails, so
yeah that's the nature of Rated G. And so having done his podcast, and we got to talk about the comic books. I forget what the main topic was. I think it was like turning cartoons into the movies or something like that, controversies, and which was fun. But then obviously when you come on this podcast, and I try to get to know the person behind their craft, and that was more challenging than I anticipated, because it always went back to geek talk. So it felt like it was just geek talk on Rated G rather than two people getting to know each other. Does that make sense?
It does, but at the same time, I mean, I guess everybody's got
an asshole, because I kind of feel like an asshole.
No, I mean, I think everybody's got a different flavor. Anytime I go on a podcast, or if I'm having a podcast, it's been years since I've had my own, but there's a certain latitude for like going off the rails. We don't even make any bones about it on this. We just go and talk, which is fine. We don't have a topic.
Well, I do. Sometimes I have notes. I had a couple.
Well, no, I'm talking about you and I.
Oh, no, I've had a couple notes just in case.
Oh, okay.
I'm like Batman, bro. Like, I have like contingency plans and stuff.
Was there anything that you needed to ask, or you wanted to?
No, we discussed them all. Yeah.
Good. Well, there you go.
And then there's all the natural flow of everything else. So it all worked out. But I try to have like a couple things just in case.
Well, the other things is especially here, we know each other.
Yeah.
We've known each other for years now. And it's like,
Do you know how many years though? Because like
really,
If you can, I'm not gonna be upset because
it's a pandemic thing with my head. It's like I'm like, how long ago was? I mean,
was it like as far as like 2016 or
I'm
was
thinking
it?
it might have been longer.
Really? Okay.
I know I had my zombie book out, and I remember.
So like maybe
you were doing the zombies
2012.
at the time. I think it was 2012.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's our 10th anniversary.
Oh man. Yeah, that's fucking wild. Yeah. God damn.
There you go.
God damn. No.
Wow. That means
yeah.
that my book has been out for 10 years.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's cool though.
Yeah. Where can people get that book?
Oh, those people can go to rickmanart.com. That's rickmanart.com. And if you go to the store section, you'll find many things like stickers.
There you go.
Posters, comic books, and children's books. And t-shirts.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to edit that. Like throw music behind that.
You're just gonna have me going like this.
You've given me plenty to work with. Yeah, well, I think this is a great way to close it. Because we're almost at the 3-hour mark. I knew it was gonna be one of those. Spoon.
Oh, wait. Come on, say something else. Oh, he's stuck now.
Nice. That's great. Before we close this, before we bring this home, any other, actually, let me mention this will be out on the 15th. So anything, any like project updates or I don't know, event, anything you want, any last minute plugins?
Currently, right now, I don't have any dates for anything, but if anybody wants to follow me on at rickmanart on Instagram, there will absolutely, when something comes out, there will be a notification there. You can go to my website, as I said before, rickmanart.com. If you are a fan of the Facebooks, that's fine too. I'm on there as facebook.com/rickmanarts with an S at the end, because some asshole got Rickmanart. Other than that, I mean, you want
and
to text
YouTube channel.
What's that?
And YouTube channel where you can see your performance.
Oh, that's right. Oh, look at you.
Yeah, so I got this. It's all gonna be in there. That's why. People tuning in, right? I'm not
just tuning in now.
People that are tuning in realize I'm serious about this shit. Check the show description so you can.
Although I'm wondering how many of these people have gone all 3 hours with us.
Well, that's those
are hardcore fans.
So that's. I mean, I don't want to sound negative, but that's unlikely. Because myself too, like when I listen to long form podcasts, it's multiple sessions, so I know people.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some, like the ones that are I can sit down for or listen to something in one sitting that's like an hour or maybe nearly 90 minutes. I can do that. But I know some of my friends that do tune in during their commutes, they'll listen it in sections. So often the multiple views on YouTube, they are from like a couple of people because they're watching
same
times. Yes, I never expected people to, like, if they're gonna tune in, that they actually tune in on like the whole thing in one sitting. I'm like, yeah, I never
get yourself
expect
a
that.
snack, go to the bathroom, and you come back Just sit down and be comfortable.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 4-hour talk.
And if you want to watch, yeah, go for it. Go on the YouTubes, because sometimes I'd be throwing in sound effects and music and stuff, and I try to make fun cuts and stuff with the inserts
Tubes.
and the tubes. You guys want to get on the used tubes, okay?
Use on the used tubes. Huh? You guys, let me come here. I gotta talk to you. You guys on the YouTubes?
Hey, Joey, come on, let's get on the YouTubes, All the kids are doing it, come on.
Yeah, so everyone that is tuning in, thank you for joining us. Again, if you are new here, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, ring the bell, all that good jazz. Feel free to leave a comment. Any questions? I do love doing Q&As at the end, so I would love to do some more of those. But yeah, please visit the links in the show descriptions. Follow this talented individual here, Rickman. What else? Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, stay aware, and we will catch you all on the next one. Peace out.
Hard and not so fun, but in the end